Bullshit.
The No BS Marketing Show is brought to you by Laramore's men's and women's designer clothing. Free shipping, free returns. Shop men's and women's designer clothing, shoes, accessories, jewelry, and more online at laramores.com or in-store downtown Pittsburgh. It's the No BS Marketing Show. I'm your host, Dave Mastovich. Our guest today is Marvin Carolina of Team Carolina. But first, let's cut the BS. During this holiday season, we're also celebrating a birthday. Texting turns 25 years old. The first text back in 1992 was simply Merry Christmas, sent from one developer to another via their personal computers. Like any groundbreaking, game-changing technology, it's often hard to think of not having it. But from 1992 through 1997, barely anyone texted. Then Nokia produced a mobile phone with a full keyboard. Still, texts couldn't be exchanged between cellular networks until 1999. So if you were on Verizon and someone was on Sprint, you couldn't text them. Once that happened in 1999, that led to an increase to an average of 35 texts per month in the year 2000. But 2007 was the watershed year when we received more texts than phone calls for the first time. As a birthday present to texting, here are some quick thoughts about the advantages and disadvantages of the communications medium. The advantages are that people tend to actually read texts and respond within 3 minutes. You know how super duper amazingly busy we all are. That was sarcasm. Heaven forbid if we'd have to read something that took more than 20 seconds to do so. Another advantage is texting is a good medium to communicate with customers about billing, increased service, like if you're at the car dealership and they text you and say, hey, you also need this, it'll be another $189, stuff like that. So business to consumer companies have done a good job of incorporating texting into their customer communications. Texting is a cross-generational medium. People text pretty much regardless of age. No internet's required, so one can text just about anytime, any place. But there are some disadvantages. First, there's lack of a standard language. Some people use the absolute bare minimum of characters and hope that everyone that they know also knows what they mean. Some combine real words with acronyms and abbreviations. Some use the English language, and that freaks people out. I'm known for my quick texting ability with text like I speak. I like to text like I speak, write like I speak. I don't know, it's worked for me. So I'd text, hey, this is how I text because this is how I talk. I'd do that just as quickly as someone would type back, SMH, STBU, LOL, TTYL. Another disadvantage, texting and driving. 98% of drivers say they know the dangers of it, but about 75% still admit to doing it. It's addictive, isn't it? Sexting. It's not just teens and college students. Nearly 50% of adults admit to sexting. Here's where it gets interesting. 77% send their sext to significant others, but 16% sent to complete strangers. Can anyone say wiener, as in former congressman? Now, keep this in mind. 17% of recipients of sext share those messages with others. So you send this provocative thing to someone you care about, and then they show someone else. And of that 17% that show someone else, they actually, 55% of them, 55% share with more than one person. So here's the deal. 25 years of texting happy birthday, but remember to use common sense. The advantages of texting are that they're read and the speed of texting and the shortness, how quick you can type them. But the disadvantages are you got to use common sense and not get crazy. Probably shouldn't do it when driving, and you still should read and communicate through other mediums. Ignoring just about everything except text is a weakness and a flaw. So cut the BS. Use texting for those advantages and try to minimize those disadvantages. Our guest today is Marvin Carolina of Team Carolina. Marvin has an amazing background as an athlete, a speaker, a leader. He's done all kinds of stuff with his Team Carolina project designed specifically for university students and faculty. It integrates learning theory and principles with the practical skills businesses emphasize and reward. Marvin, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Dave. I appreciate it.
Now, right before we went live, you were talking about a question you had about the new iPhone. And so then I come on and I do my rant about texting. What are your thoughts in general about, tell your story about the iPhone and tell me what you think about the texting rant.
The texting rant is interesting. I just got a new iPhone and I asked a question. I asked when I was purchasing it, what's new? Because I've always wondering what's new. And next time they said, your camera. I said, it's a phone. They said, your camera. I have a phone to call people, but the best feature is the camera. It's amazing the technology and how we use it now that we really don't have video cameras. We don't have picture cameras anymore. We have phones and we do our videos and our picture taking on our phone. I have 1,000 some pictures in my phone, which is amazing to me.
So are you a big texter?
I'm not a huge texter.
So then you don't text and drive, which makes you only part of 20-some% that say they don't at all.
I have an app on my phone that doesn't let me do that while I'm driving. It says you're driving right now. You can't answer a call. You can't do anything. So that's interesting.
That's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
good.
It keeps me away from it.
It can be addictive. I try not to, but from time to time I still sneak one in there. Just the whole thing about the inhibitions, when it was saying that the very high percentage of adults, so it's not just the 18 to 24-year-olds, a very high percentage of 25 and older, sending provocative pictures and so forth. And then they, I guess, aren't expecting those people to actually show them to other people probably. And then you see that 17% show them to other people. And of those, 55% show them to multiple other people.
But I think the amazing part is that, I've gone all the way through college without a cell phone. And now I can't leave my house without a cell phone. I mean, we went to parties, we traveled. I drove from Pittsburgh to Atlanta without a phone or anything. And now I can't imagine leaving my house for 5 minutes without my phone. It's amazing and it is addictive once you get a phone.
That's partly why I wanted to do that rant, more so not so much about the negatives, but the positives about how 25 years ago that started, but now people couldn't imagine not being able to text. And the advantages far outweigh the disadvantages, the speed, the ability to have conversations, to be less intrusive, to not have to take a phone call. All these technologies, the cell phone itself changed the game. You can't imagine that. Then the smartphone, when the cell phone became the smartphone, and then texting. It's just awesome to see how we continually evolve with our technology and how once we have something for 3 to 5 to 7 years as a human race, we just can't imagine not having it.
Right. And I have 2 boys, 14 and 15. And so I can track them on their phones. I can call them, make sure we're supposed to meet where we're going to meet, what's their schedule today. I'm not sure what I did when I was growing up. We didn't have that type of technology, but we always seemed to be where we were supposed to be. But I use it all the time to track my kids and call them and say, we're meeting here, we're doing this. Once you get it, like you said, there's a certain time period after 3 to 5 years, you're just dependent on it.
Well, I'm a little nervous about this because I know we have a lot in common and we're both college athletes and beyond and so forth. And so this could go crazy because we might get very granular talking about things. But let's start off. Talk about your career path, your journey.
We go back to start. I played sports growing up. Growing up in Pittsburgh, I played sports. I played basketball. I played football. I ran track. I wrestled. I did a variety of sports. Football was my main sport. That was my passion, my love. But I learned so much through playing sports. Ended up going to college. Went to college in Atlanta, Georgia, Georgia Tech. And I played football in college. And I did very well. Played 4 years, 4-year Letterman.
Who was the coach then?
Bill Curry.
Oh,
played for Bill Curry down there.
Wow, so you played for a true legend, and that man's a leader.
Oh, wonderful coach, wonderful person.
He's still on ESPN and doing all kinds of stuff.
And just enjoyed playing. I didn't realize that I was developing a skill set, though. I used that skill set to be successful in corporate America. There's things that you learn. One of the things that I learned, this is in high school, don't be late, be early. My high school coach left our starting quarterback. We were playing a game over in Ohio, and buses were leaving at 8 o'clock in the morning so we can drive over there. Quarterback wasn't there. We left. It stuck with me. I'm always early. I get to the airport early. Everywhere I go, I get early just because it's stuck in my mind. In college, Coach Curry would lock the doors so you couldn't get in. So being on time, that plays a benefit in corporate America too. That you're not going to be late, you're going to be on time, and you don't have to think about it. It's just a core value of yours because that's the way you grew up. So I learned a lot of things through playing sports. I learned to be focused, learned teamwork, learned to be, result driven. It's not good enough just to kind of get through the process. What's the goal? And so you use those things in corporate America and how you develop your life and how you develop your business skills. A number of times that I practiced probably at least 100 different things between meetings and weightliftings and everything before we played our first game in college. It's amazing that right after the season, when January is there, we start practicing January. We don't have a game until 9 months later in September.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we're full out practicing, going out on the field, working out, doing all the things through winter and spring as if we're playing a game next week, and we're not. We don't practice, we don't focus the same way all the time in corporate America. But if you learn to use those skills and build upon that, they've been very successful for me. And I teach that now oftentimes.
What I've found with having been around sports my whole life, worked in sports, played at a high level, coached at a high level. And I've found that everything you're saying about applying it to life and business is true. And even this part. So you said in the corporate environment, we don't go as hard as you do in the sports environment, getting prepared for a game. But what I do find the same is on a team, you'll have some people that make the commitment to show up and they give the amount that is expected of them. They aren't the ones that are as focused as, say, you or someone that's going to go to that next level, but they still show up pretty much all the time and they commit. And that's still significantly more than the vast majority of humans.
Yes.
So if you look at that in the business world, that's what I say as a dad and as a coach is I say, just showing up regularly already puts you ahead of a lot of people. And I struggle to teach people that because it sounds so stupid, but just showing up, even if you're lousy, puts you ahead of at least half of the people. And then if you show up and give a little more than the bare minimum, you're already in the upper echelon. And then if you're that rare person that gives a lot, that's when you really get to reap the benefits.
Right. A lot of it is put on the effort, but showing up is the starting point where everyone doesn't show up and showing up prepared.
Yes.
So you got to show up, but you have to be prepared. And that's one thing that you learn in sports. Let's be prepared to play game day. Let's make sure we watch film. Let's make sure we prepared our body, make sure we, prepared our mind, those type of things. Are you prepared to win?
Yes.
Are you built to compete? There's certain things that you have to do in corporate America. Did you do your research on your competitors, on your product, on your services, whatever it is?
Yes.
Just like we have to prepare for game day in football. There's the things you have to do. There's a progression. There's certain things you do on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, preparing for game day. Same thing in corporate America. And you have to build your skill sets. And one of the biggest things is just being resilient. When you have a setback, we're going to have setbacks in life. I don't care, in life and business, whatever it is, we're going to have setbacks. How do you react to them? In football, you get knocked down almost every play. You got to get back up. Are you going to get up crying? You can get up complaining, or it's part of the game. Get back up, go back to the huddle, prepare again, run the next play, get knocked down, get back up. So you're used to getting up and continuing to go. That's a huge benefit. So you have a project that you didn't win. We lost. Okay, when's the next one? Let's go prepare for the next one. So these are skill sets. I mean, if you understand that and you're not crying and complaining every time things don't go your way, you learn to get better. You use that as a tool. Each time you run the play and get knocked down, hopefully you learn something about the defense. Anytime you do a project that doesn't work out, you learn something about that particular project and how to get better on the next one. So,
all right, you grow up, you go to Shadyside. What part of town did you grow up in?
Wilkinsburg. Grew up in Wilkinsburg.
Okay. So you go to Shadyside. Talk a little bit about that. That's a pretty positive experience. Talk about what you learned.
It's a big difference. When I first went to Shadyside, I went there as a freshman, and they had summer reading. You had to read books throughout the summer, and you got tested on them. And 1/3 of your first semester grade was based on the test from your summer reading. They're just kind of joking. They're not serious about this. No, they were serious. I mean, who reads books in the summer? But it raises your level. Here's the expectations up here. My first Spanish class, I went in class on a Monday. The following Monday, we had a test. The bar was high. They raised the bar high. So now I have to get better. I have to perform better. I have to prepare better because they're expecting more from you. So either you have to raise to the expectation or fall out. It was helpful for me to get better academically and understand where the bar was and what they were asking of me and be prepared to compete.
So Coach Curry recruits you.
Yes.
So tell us about that, because for those that aren't huge fans, Bill Curry has been a staple of ESPN probably for the last 15, 20 years, but he coached at a number of levels, a number of major universities, and had success. And he also played and won a Super Bowl for the Baltimore Colts, I think. I think it was the Colts. So talk about when he recruited you.
That was a really good experience. Now, one of his assistant coach was the main coach who was coming up to Pittsburgh, recruiting me, Rip Shear. But Coach Curry actually came up. I was playing basketball, and we had finished a basketball game on a Friday night, and Coach Curry was right there. And he said, I wanted to meet you, come up here and meet you and invite you to come down and visit our school. And when you talk to Coach Curry, he's one of the greatest guys you'll ever meet, very sincere, very upfront. Going down there to visit, I really liked some other schools. I went to visit the University of Virginia, was probably my second choice. But once I got on campus at Georgia Tech and Coach Curry had a chance, he calls all the guys into his office and talks to you one-on-one about what you want to do. Why are you considering Georgia Tech? What are other schools you're considering? When you sit down and talk with him, it's hard to say no. It really is, because he's that kind of person. You just want to play for him and give him your best. So making that decision wasn't that difficult once I got down there and really had a chance to talk with Coach Curry.
We are with Marvin Carolina. Before we get back to him, let's talk about how Esquire magazine describes it as one of the country's leading specialty stores for selection and service. Don't leave Pittsburgh without your little black bag filled with beautiful fashions from the city's premier family-owned clothier for men and women, Larimor's. Experience the highest quality designer and private label collections, impeccable customer service, and custom tailoring that have been Larimor's hallmark for more than 75 years. Shop online at larimors.com or in-store downtown Pittsburgh. So I'm with Marvin Carolina, and he's talking about his background, shady side, Georgia Tech. We talk a lot in this show about mentors, and I know that one of them is Bill Curry, and we're already going through that discussion. But let's get back to Marvin Carolina, and you had the chance to be at Georgia Tech with Bill Curry. His leadership style impacted you to this day. Mm-hmm. Talk more about that experience. Give us a couple quick anecdotes. Did you get a chance to play in a bowl game, that kind of stuff?
A couple of interesting things. First of all, the way he handles when he talks to you, he's very direct, and he's like, Marvin, what were you thinking about on that play? Obviously, I was wrong. Whatever it was, I was wrong, but he's very straightforward. When you go down to visit, you take a picture of it in front of the Ramblin' Wreck with him, and it's you, and you're dressed up, and he's dressed up, and you take a picture there. Last year, he came to speak in Kansas City, where I live now, and we took a picture then. So I have a picture of him in 1982 and a picture of him in 2016, and it's just wonderful to go through that whole course and understand. We played a bowl game. My last year, we played a bowl game, and while we were at the bowl game, a couple of my teammates came back into the hotel late. They missed curfew. So, I mean, this is a big bowl game. We've been kind of building the program. So quarterback, couple receivers, couple other starters. So what is he going to do? He sent them all home. How do you send your starting quarterback, starting receivers, and your running back home in the middle of this big game? It was a rule. You broke the rule. He didn't make a decision. He said the decision was already made. And then for us to win the game, we won the game without our starting quarterback. We played a third-team quarterback. The second-team quarterback was being redshirted. So we played a third-team true freshman quarterback and won the game. We played Michigan State in the All-American Bowl, and we won the game. But he stood on his principles. You didn't make curfew. You're not going to play. So it was amazing, that he did that. But it taught a lot of us a lesson. When you pay attention to things, it teaches you lessons and principles, and you live by your principles. And he sent those guys home, and it was amazing. All of us kind of like, because we went out to practice the next day, and we didn't see any of them. And so we're all asking questions. Well, what happened? What happened? What happened? Called us all together. He explained to everyone what happened. You guys all know the rules. I'm going to treat you like men. I'm not going to treat you like kids. You knew what the curfew was. You know what I expect of your behavior. It was amazing. But it's just added respect that you have for him when you see things like that happen.
Talk about once you graduated from Georgia Tech, what was your first major experience, first position?
My first job was with Oscar Mayer. I obviously graduated from Georgia Tech in Atlanta, Georgia. My first job was out in the West Coast in Portland. I loved it. I was in sales and marketing, selling bologna. My bologna has a first name, and I really enjoyed the sales and marketing aspect of it. My first manager was interesting. He was a very aggressive, he's a young guy, very loud, always, on people, you need to do this, you need to do this. The older guys in Portland really didn't care for him because of his style. But for me, it was just a coach.
Yeah.
I didn't think anything of it. I mean, when people are yelling and kind of aggressive with you, you got to kind of calm down. You got to understand what they're saying.
Yes.
When a coach is yelling at you, they're just getting loud, but you have to slow it down and say, what are they asking me to do? We got to do weekly reports. You have to let them know all the things you're doing. Other people are like, I don't want to give a weekly report. I don't want to have to do this. I'm new. A weekly report helped me because it helped me understand what I was supposed to do. His yelling and screaming, I mean, I'm new with the company anyway. I think he's just a coach. Because in business, micromanaging is just a college coach. That's all it is. They're just, okay, coach, what are you asking me to do? And I'll do it. So I enjoyed it, and it helped move my career along because those weekly reports, if I was doing something wrong, it didn't take a month to figure out I was doing something wrong. You can correct my behavior a lot quicker. So
at that time, who were you competing against? Because Oscar Mayer was number one. Where they went?
Yes, we were competing against a lot of cheap brands, the 59-cent hot dogs. And most companies that we were competing against were local, except for Ballpark. Ballpark was the only national one. Other ones, one in the Northeast, one in the Southeast, one in the Midwest, smaller local ones, 59 cent to $4. Our hot dogs were $4. That's selling. 59 cent is not selling. That's giving them away. $4 is selling. So we had a lot of competitors like that. When you go into a store, the bars that the meat hangs from, those are Oscar Mayer's bars. And there's an agreement with all the store chains that we get 75% of those bars that they hang from. And then the other 30% goes to our competitors. My first leadership role.
And that's still today, or was that just back then?
That was back then, and I think it's still today. If you see it, the hanging bars are owned by Oscar Mayer. Now it's Kraft. Kraft and General Foods are all, and Oscar Mayer are all one big company. So I'm pretty sure they own the same thing. But my first leadership role, I had only been with Oscar Mayer probably a month and a half, and I did a lot of the resets because I was a new guy. And resets is when you go into the store and you clear everything out, you clean it out, and you kind of restructure the store, remodel the store. So I did a lot of those. And the Oscar Mayer guy is in charge because 70% of the bars are theirs. So I was the only Oscar Mayer guy there, and I didn't really realize it at the time. It was early in the morning because that's when you did the resets. Store manager comes in and says, "Where's Oscar Mayer?" And I said, "Him." He says, "You're in charge. Tell everybody what to do." And you pause for a second, and you're thinking, I'm 21 years old. I'm in charge of all this. There's 20 other people here for this reset. And then you snap into it. See, this is what we're going to do. Because I've been on a lot of them. I knew what to do, but I didn't always have that leadership role. There was always somebody, my senior, who would take it over and kind of direct me. But now I'm the person in charge. Other companies had people there 10, 15, 20 years, and I'm in charge. And like I said, for a split second, I kind of paused. Like, is this really happening? And then you just jump to your training, back to sports. You jump to what you've been training. I've been doing resets. By that time, I don't know. I had done 50, 60 resets. I was doing 2, 3 a day sometimes. So I knew how to do a reset. So you jump in to leadership mode and you take it over. This is what we're going to do. I'm going to put all my product right here. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And then I'm going to give this to you and you distribute the rest of it. But learning that leadership skill back to, sports. You got to be a leader. There's certain situations you have to be a leader. You have to be willing to step up. You can't freeze. You can't say, well, can somebody else do it today? I don't know if I can do this. You have to step up and be a leader. And that was my first leadership position or example that hit me that you need to take control and quickly.
Marvin Carolina is on our show today, the No BS Marketing Show. From a marketing standpoint, Marvin, you started to go into the jingle, and that commercial and that jingle was pretty much a franchise in the mind of the consumer. It became so strong that you thought of hot dogs and you thought of that. And we'll find a YouTube video and we'll post it into the show notes for anybody under the age of 30 who maybe hasn't seen that, right?
Yes.
It was on for a lot of years.
Now they have the Wienermobiles, which have been revived, and you can see those driving across the country, which are much different than the old one. They have, when you go inside of them now, the microwave, all the things that they have inside of them. I say microwave, but there's a bunch of other technology inside of them that they didn't have in the old days, but it's just awesome.
That commercial of spelling it out and getting people to, that was a good commercial. We'll get that on the show notes. So how long were you with Oscar Mayer?
I was with Oscar Mayer for 5 years. I started in Portland, Oregon, got promoted to Spokane, Washington, then got promoted to San Diego, California, then got promoted to Los Angeles. So, I moved up very quickly with them, really enjoyed the experience, sold a lot, understood a lot about selling and marketing, understood a lot about tracking. My first time I had an account was when I was in Spokane, Washington, and they pay you based on how much tonnage, how much bologna, how much tonnage. It was tonnage based. And I missed a huge bonus, thousands of dollars, based on probably a few thousand pounds, which is nothing in that business because I wasn't tracking. December came and I'm just ordering like regular, where the other guys were just bringing in a bunch of stuff at the end of the year so they can hit their numbers. And then when my manager comes to me and says, I want to show you something. And he broke down to me, if you'd have ordered 10 more cases of this, 20 more cases of this, 10 more cases of this, you would have got this bonus. You learn, you got to track. You got to track everything you have to track going forward. So I learned that lesson. And then everything else was tracked. But also I learned the difference between ordering by tonnage and also profit, because we switched our way of thinking. It used to be, you want to order truckloads in. I want a truckload of bologna. I want a truckload of hot dogs. But we switched it. And then it was like the select slices, which was more profitable. You could sell a pallet of that and make the same profit as a truckload of bologna. So now we were focused on this. So you learn, it's not just revenues, it's profit. You're learning how to do business and how to grow a business. And so did that for 5 years. Like I said, I got a bigger account down in San Diego. and got a bigger account when I moved to Los Angeles. I was responsible for all the independent accounts in Los Angeles County, was my last position with Oscar Mayer. And by that time, Kraft had come into the mix and General Foods was already in the mix. So all of those companies were one. And then I got the entrepreneurial itch. I wanted to do my own thing. And I moved back to Atlanta, where I'd gone to school, and I opened Carolina Beverage Distributing. Loved it. I mean, I really enjoyed it and started off interesting. Didn't know what I was going to do. I had saved up some money, but I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, what products I wanted to have represent. I wanted to do similar to what I was doing for Oscar Mayer. But I got back there and I went to a few food shows. And this one food show I was at, this one guy had a beverage company and he was distributing beverages throughout Atlanta. And he said, I want to do this. And I explained to him how you should grow. I understood. Obviously, I had 5 years with a major food company. I explained to him things that he needed to do and how he needed to structure. And my friends were like, why would you tell him all that? I said, if he can take that and use it, I'm okay with that. About a week later, he called me. He said, can we partner somehow? He said, I have a truck I can deliver, but I don't really have the sales. So well, that's what I do. I can sell. And I went to work. And I had his truck dragging the ground.
So how'd you guys do that? Did you merge companies?
We didn't merge companies. We had an agreement where I would collect the commission off what I sold. And so he would invoice them. He would do all of that. And then based on that, I kept all the records of what I was selling. And then what I sold, I would collect the commission off.
Did you still sell your own stuff too?
No, I was totally doing that.
So did you have like a storefront or the Carolina Beverage Distribution, or did you have a warehouse, or did you?
At that time, I was just starting.
Okay.
And he handled everything. And so I just kind of merged with him. And I did that for 6 months. And I would sell for him, and then I would tell him when to deliver, where to deliver, those type of things. At the end of 6 months, and this is when I really launched Carolina Beverage Distributing, a guy approached me and said, hey, do you want to have your own and you want to do your own thing? I have the rights to this bottled water company. And if you want to distribute it, I'll make you my sole source in the Atlanta area. I went back to Leon, who I'd been working with, and I gave him all of the clients that I had gotten for him, which were at this time were a lot. And I told him, when were the sales dates? What were the average? Everything was right there in the book. And I gave that to him. And then I went and launched what I did. At that time, I had one truck and I had a warehouse that I rented out from this guy who had distributor rights. And so I only did water. And so I had workout facilities, a few gas stations, and a few office building stores. You know, there's delis on the first level, and I had a few of them. Yeah. And I've been doing that, building up the business, only had water. I ran back into Leon probably a few months after. He said, how are things going? I said, things are going great. He says, I see you only have water? That's all you're doing? I said, that's all I have. He took me to his distributor. And this is one of the things you learn, treat people right.
Yes. Now, I was going to say, you basically gave him all that stuff, and I was hoping it came back the right way.
And, you know, I could have said, hey, I got all this. I'm going to take it with me. He said, come on. He took me over to his distributor. He made an introduction. I built a relationship. Now, in the same accounts that I had just been giving water, I brought all the juices and the sodas, because this is the beverage distributor now that I was working with. I brought all of those with me. And so now I had the water in my established accounts. And now I brought the whole new line. Because I would go in on a Monday, put my water in there. I said, do you have orange juice? He said, oh, the orange juice gets here Thursday. No, I said, orange juice is empty. I said, do you sell orange juice every day? They said, we do. I have orange juice on the truck now. You don't have to wait till Thursday. And once I got it, you'd never get it back, because we're not going to run out. Because I opened the boxes up, I filled them up. I mean, I priced them, whatever prices you want on them. I'd have a pricing gun, everything. The customer service was outstanding, all because you treat people right. And that's huge. Because people say, why did you give them all? I mean, you don't want to get out. You should have owned it. No, we had an agreement. Our agreement was that I was going to sell for him. After that, everything launched. I mean, it launched for me. I was in business 6-7 years. And then the bottled water started catching up at this time. Everyone started getting more competitive. My margin started shrinking. I hired a few people to drive. I got a bigger warehouse and really grew the business. But you have to treat people right. That's critical. And that's the lesson learned. I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal at the time to me. I got these with him. Oh, Marvin, I would have never have done that. Do you know how much money you just gave to him? I just didn't think of it that way. And it really benefited me greatly later because of the way that it came in with my business. So always treat people right, treat people with respect. It'll pay off.
Hear more of my interview with Marvin Carolina on part 2 of the No BS Marketing Show. Thanks for joining us for the No BS Marketing Show, brought to you by Laramore's men's and women's designer clothing. Free shipping, free returns. Shop men's and women's designer clothing, shoes, accessories, jewelry, and more online at laramores.com or in-store downtown Pittsburgh. Visit masssolutions.biz for show notes, plus additional marketing and messaging resources like our No BS Marketing Weekly Update. Sign up and receive timely, valuable ideas to improve your marketing and transform your message. Again, visit masssolutions.biz. Remember, ask yourself, what's the big idea? And build your story around the answer. It's all about bold solutions